So welcome to another technology video. So today we're going to be talking specifically around security on your QNAP NAS device. So we're going to run through what the options are and what you can do to better protect your environment to make sure that it's as secure as it can be on your local network. So the first thing that we want to do is we're going to navigate to our QNAP NAS device. So this applies for the TS range, but it also applies for all of the other ranges that are using the QTS software. So first thing you want to do is you want to navigate to your control panel, and then you want to go to security. And once you're in security, there are a number of options here, and I'll explain what these do. So the first thing is your allow and deny list. So at the moment we've got ours set to allow all connections, but what we do is we configure ours to only allow connections from devices that we say are okay to connect to. So in other words, anything from your local area network is what you can connect, is what you can set here. So if you've got multiple VLANs, for instance, and you only want devices on a single VLAN or IP range to connect to your device, then you can do that here. Or if you only want to allow one or two devices, then again you can create an IP access list. So if you don't use the allow and deny list, you can use the IP access protection. So what this says, basically, it looks at all of the IP addresses that are trying to connect to your system, and it says here, within 1 minute, if you get 5 failed logon attempts, then block that IP address. And you can set these settings in here. Account access protection is another useful one. So this is for users, basically. So if you're saying if a user is attempting to do this within a certain amount of time, then you can also block them. So if we tick this box here, for instance, and it says disable the accounts in your users settings if they attempt to connect with SSH 5 times and fail within 5 minutes, and all of this is adjustable up to 30 minutes there, and the number of attempts. So that helps protect you as well. You can also install your own certificate. We use the Let's Encrypt certificate from QNAP, so I'm not going to talk about that. And then also on the password policy, you can say if a user's got a password, then what do you want that user's password to be, and the minimum length, and also if you need those users to change their passwords periodically, you can set that here. So we're going to go through and we're going to set our IP access list here, and we're going to set it to, we'll just remove that so you can see what we're doing. We're going to click on add, and if you only want one device to connect to it, then you would add the IP address of that device in here. If you want a network to connect to it, then so any device on a network, at the moment, as you can see here, this is an 8-bit network, but then you've got 16 and then 24-bit networks. So what we're going to do is we're going to set ours to be network. Or if you want an IP range, so say for instance you had a DHCP scope and you wanted 20 of those in the scope to connect to it, then you can set your range as something like 192.168.0.10 to 0.30 or whatever you want it to be there. But we're going to allow every device on our network to connect. So we are going to give it a LAN subnet, and we're going to make it a 24-bit subnet. So what this is saying, it's saying if any device on the 192.168.0/24 network connects, so that's 256 hosts, then we're going to allow that. So we're going to create that, and we've said allow connections from the list only, so if any other device tries to connect, then it's going to be denied, and we're going to apply that. And then once that's applied, we're going to move on and we're going to set some account access protection. So what we've got on our system is we've got a selection of users that have access to certain folders within our environment. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to set an account access protection up so that, for instance, if one of those devices gets infected with malware and it decides it's going to try and start trying to log on, then we can stop that from happening. So we're going to select everything here. Even though we've got telnet denied, we're going to block the requests, and we're going to do absolutely everything, and we're going to set ours to 30 minutes on everything. And we're going to say if you get a certain amount of failed login attempts, and we're going to go for 10 login attempts every 30 minutes, then what it's going to do, it's going to disable the accounts automatically. And we've got notification settings set so that if any non-administrative users or group gets blocked, then we get a notification about it, and then we're going to apply that to our system. So that's it. So what we've done there is we've set an allow list, so anything that's not on our local network, then it's going to get blocked. And we've also set it so that anything on our local network that tries to log onto the system and fails 10 attempts within 30 minutes, then we're going to disable that user account. And that's all there is to it. Okay, so the next thing we're going to have a look at is our general settings. So if you click on general settings on your control panel, what we're going to do is we're going to go through to make sure that any user that's trying to connect to our system gets forced to HTTPS. And to do that, what you want to do is under your general settings, under system administration, under your host name and your system port, what we're going to do is we're going to enable this function here that says enable secure connection, and we're going to set our TLS version compatibility. So you've got for older operating systems you can select previous versions. However, the standard supported version now for all modern browsers is 1.2, so you're going to select TLS 1.2, and we're going to select our port number of 443, or if you are using a different port for HTTPS, then you can specify that here. And then this is the important one, you want to force secure connections to HTTPS only. So that means that if anyone tries to connect via HTTP, it will automatically redirect them to HTTPS. And as you can see here, we've got a not secure because we're using a standard certificate that is self-created. So it's a self-signed certificate for the device. But it's still going to use the TLS version, and it's still going to use the HTTPS version. What you can do is you can add your own certificate, and if you add your own certificate, then you'll get that nice green padlock in the bit here if you're using a fully qualified domain name. Okay, so the next thing is we've said here do not allow QTS embedding in iframes. So that means that any systems that are you've got web enabled, basically it won't allow you to embed iframes basically. And then the final one that you want to have a look at is if you're using MyQNAPCloud to access your device remotely. So this enables you to connect your device from anywhere on the internet, but there are a couple of things that we wanted to talk through to make sure that you keep yourself safe and protected. So if you go into your MyQNAPCloud link app, you can see here what we've got set up. So we can see that we've got it enabled. What we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to go in and say auto configuration of the router is set to disabled. So this will automatically open the ports in your router if it's a UPnP device. We never do that because it's a security risk. So moving on to my DDNS. So this basically allows you to connect to your DDNS name via the internet. So I'm not going to go into that, but we are going to talk about published services. So if you go into published services, what this means basically is if you've got it set to enable, so enable means that the service is actually enabled, and then if you've got any ticks next to your publish option, so if I was to do file station and select publish, then what that's going to do is that is going to make it available within MyQNAPCloud. Now, because you've got the ability to search for any file stations in MyQNAPCloud, we want to make sure that if you are advertising some of your services there, then you always want to make sure that it's set to private, so that when anybody searches for it, your device is not going to come up in the list of devices that has that enabled. So for ourselves, we don't actually use that at all. All we use MyQNAPCloud for is to be able to access the interface from the internet, and you don't need to publish any services to enable that to happen. So we're going to show you how you can do that. So if you go to access control, all you need to do is make sure that device access controls are set to private, and then this is confirmed by who can access only me. So this means that someone is going to need your MyQNAPCloud username and password to be able to log in, to be able to see your devices. And then when you go into MyQNAPCloud, you won't see any published services, even under the private view, because they've all been disabled. But it does give you a link for you to click on, and it takes you straight to your web interface, so that you will then be able to log in. But in terms of services, anything that you configure is not enabled, so none of the services are going to be broadcast. So if you want to do anything on your QNAP device, you need to log in via MyQNAPCloud. If you're out on the internet and you don't have any ports open in your router, you want to log in, and then you will get the interface that you see here. So I'm just going to close that down. So once you log in, this is what you'll see. You'll be presented with the login screen first of all, obviously. Once you've logged in, you're then into your QNAP device remotely. So let's just show you how we can do that. So I'm going to close this down so that we're no longer on the device itself. And then I'm going to open up a fresh web browser, and if I go to MyQNAPCloud, and we log in, so we log in automatically. I can go down to my device here that you can see here. I can click on the link. That will then go off, and we say OK to that warning screen. That should then connect to us remotely, which it does. So that's the easiest way to keep your system nice and secure, but give you the functionality of being able to access it remotely. So that's all there is to it, to that video. If you found that security video useful for QNAP NAS devices, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.